As time goes on, more of the nation is giving the president positive marks, with 55% of people saying they approve of his handling of the coronavirus crisis as of Friday. But one of the toughest balancing acts Trump is facing right now, as evidenced by that earlier tweet, is weighing public health costs against those to the economy. As businesses across the nation shut down and Wall Street is hitting low points not seen since the 2008 financial crisis, the Federal Reserve tried today to settle the markets, announcing a series of dramatic and complicated changes aimed at making it as cheap as possible to get loans. But for those out of a job and scared, that action is likely of little comfort.
All of us immediately lost our jobs, I think, as of Monday or Tuesday. If it goes on months, I don't think any of us have any idea what we're going to do.
You're talking thousands and thousands of people looking for work simultaneously. It's going to hit every aspect of life, and the government needs to react and help us get through this.
Are you scared?
I'm concerned.
Is he ever? Congress needs to sign off on federal money going directly to these people. And while lawmakers on both sides of the aisle agree they deserve a bailout, the devil, of course, is in the details. And right now, the Senate is still at a stalemate over the fate of a $2 trillion stimulus package.
This body can't get its act together, and the only reason it can't get its act together is right over here on the other side of the aisle.
We Democrats are trying to get things done, not making partisan speech.
Why do the members of the United States Senate continue to double down on stupid?
Why, indeed. Joining me, I hope, with the answer is the Axios business editor, Dan Primack. Dan, it's good to see you, as always. So the Fed took dramatic action, as I said, and yet the stock market continued its 10,000-point six-week drop. Where is the bottom, and what short of a vaccine will cause us to get there?
I mean, in terms of the markets, the stock markets, and you can never know for sure why markets go up or down on a given day. But in general, the markets want a plan. You just showed the senators disagreeing and basically not being able to get to end. That's what the markets want. They're not sure if the Democrats' plan or the Republicans' plan or a compromise plan is the best medicine necessarily for the economy, or if we'll look back on it and say, oh, they made mistakes. What the markets want is something.
So does that mean that if they do come to agreement, which allegedly they will at some point, $2 trillion or whatever it is, and President Trump signs it, putting aside the details for the moment, does that mean we will have reached the bottom, or is there more to come?
I think it'll mean at least there'll be a little bit of a calm down and maybe the rapid deceleration. But look, who knows what comes next. Right now, though, you've got kind of you're on a slide, basically, and nobody can quite see the bottom, or at least kind of a speed bump on that slide. And that's what this plan would be.
Yeah, by the way, particularly for retirees sitting at home, 2008, I may get these numbers wrong, so feel free to correct me. I think the drop was more than 50%. 2 years later, it was back. 1987, it was somewhere in the quarter of the total value drop. It was also back in 2 years. Historically, it has always come back. It's a question of how long, right?
It's always historically come back. And the real context here, if you're a retiree and you're thinking about your 401k or your retirement account, think back to the day Donald Trump was elected. That's basically where the stock market is now. The day before Donald Trump was actually elected. All of the gains since Trump beat Hillary Clinton have all been wiped out.
So, Dan, the dispute as of the moment seems to be about whether businesses, corporations with their $500 billion bailout will be able to do whatever they want, including giving bonuses like they did in 2008, $1 million plus bonuses to executives. Putting that aside, now I know that's a lot of money to put aside, there is going to be serious money put in the pockets of real people. Is the assumption that this is going to get people through and cause a smaller number of businesses to permanently go out of business? Is that an agreed upon principle, regardless of the details?
It seems to be, and there's two pieces of that, right? There's a huge loan package for small business loans, and there's some disagreement on what small business is going to mean. But generally right now, it looks like that means companies that have fewer than 500 employees. And then, yeah, there's this thing where individuals will get checks, one in April, one in May. It's not a huge amount of money. It's not a small amount of money, but, maximum of $1,200 total over those 2 months. But it is basically supposed to be to help continue to buy groceries, maybe pay the mortgage, although some banks are forgiving those or at least allowing you to go a couple of months without penalties.
I want to read a tweet that you retweeted today, and I wasn't sure why you did. Here's what it said. If we don't stop unemployment and layoffs from spiraling out of control, then we won't have an economy to turn back. Is that an endorsement of strong federal action like we just talked about, or is it an endorsement of Trump's maybe after 15 days, we've had enough of this tough stuff?
No, strong federal action. The 15-day thing makes absolutely no sense to me. The 15 days seems as arbitrary as, a parent counting to 3 until they're going to punish their kid. There's no real reason for the 15 days. And to be honest, Trump doesn't even have the power to do it. If you think about it, Trump didn't close the economy. Mike DeWine, Charlie Baker, they're the ones who closed the economies down. Trump can't even do it.
Let's talk about something else the president talked about yesterday, the Defense Production Act, which many of us had not even heard of till a couple of weeks ago, which would allow him to mandate that private businesses, manufacturers, manufacture things that are needed, like protective gear, ventilators, those sort of things. Here's what the president had to say about it yesterday.
We're a country not based on nationalizing our business. Call a person over in Venezuela, ask them how did nationalization of their businesses work out? Not too well.
Is that even a remotely fair comparison? Venezuela permanently, or at least for the time being, and a couple of months here?
No, it's not at all. It's silly. And look, this is a law that was passed by the U.S. Congress for this very reason, right? When this law got passed and the president was given the ability to do this, it wasn't so that we could become, Venezuela or a socialist country. And remember, we are about to be talking about the federal government giving everybody a check, giving small businesses loans they may not have to pay back. I think we're kind of through the looking glass here when it comes to capitalism via socialism.
Let's go from suffering to no suffering in the names of Burr, Feinstein, Loeffler, and James, climate change is a hoax, Inhofe. These people are all accused of dumping a lot of stock based on insider information, not yet proven. They deny it. Are these guys in big trouble, and should they be?
Burr, who is from North Carolina, I believe, maybe North Carolina, Burr is in the biggest trouble because he's the one who did the trades personally himself. The others all seem to have done the trades through third-party managers. A lot of senators don't take care of investments themselves. Someone else does. But you need the SEC and the Department of Justice to look at all of these, because what we don't know is, even though they might have had a wealth manager doing it for them, we don't know, did they make a phone call? Did they send an email saying, hey, look, this is what we heard in a private briefing? We just don't know.
So let me tell you, my attitude is if Tucker Carlson said you should resign, then you're really in trouble. And that's what he says Burr should do. Can we do the dreaded local angle before you go?
Sure.
The Boston Bruins, this wildly popular hockey team, are the last team in the league to do anything for their part-time employees. And what Jeremy Jacobs has done, from what I understand, is say, if the remaining 6 games are canceled, we'll give you $1.5 million. We won't even know if those remaining games are canceled till the season, quote, resumes or is canceled, which could be months from now. Is there any team being more stingy with those workers than this team is?
Not one I've found. And look, it's shameful. Jeremy Jacobs alone is worth approximately $3 billion, or at least was. It's probably a little bit less today. But look, and Bruins tickets, anyone who's gone to a Bruins game knows you pay a lot of money to go to these Bruins games. The Bruins are a very, very lucrative business. They own the TD Garden. Remember, the Celtics pay rent to the Boston Bruins, essentially. They've got the money. This is shameful. Jeremy Jacobs might have lost a little bit of his net worth, but these are people who are not going to be able to keep the heat on. It's shameful. The Bruins need to do this. And to be honest, if you're a Bruins fan and they do come back and the Bruins didn't do something about this, don't go to the games. Don't give Jacobs any.
Finally, I was going to ask you how you're doing, but I just read on your Twitter account, Peloton is getting you through. Is that correct?
Peloton's work. We have a reader ride tonight. We will see how it goes. We got a few hundred readers who are going to go tonight just to do something together and get some exercise, particularly with the snow outside.
Dan, good luck to you. Thanks so much. Your work has been great. I really appreciate it. Dan Primack.
Thank you, Jim.